The Free to Be Show is sponsored by Replenish Me membership. Show up powerfully. This hybrid online community offers monthly webinars, meetups, and coaching sessions so that you have access to Replenish online. Whether you are seeking something as an individual to relieve your stress or as an organization, a way to resolve team issues and recharge your staff, Replenish Me membership offers it all. Empower yourself today. To find out more about Replenish Me membership, go to bit.ly Replenish Me membership. And now for the Free to Be Show. So welcome to the Free to Be Show, where I get to interview really amazing, dynamic people who have taken the steps to go deep and dark into their emotions and free themselves. And tonight I'm going to share with you another lovely person who I've come to know quite recently, and we've just bonded and connected immediately. She is known as the single Muslim coach. She's also the hostess of the British Muslim TV. She's a qualified life coach, certified NLP practitioner, and so much more. And of course, her biggest brag is that she's a mom. So welcome to the show, Fahima.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate, you inviting me on your platform tonight. A real pleasure.
Absolutely wonderful to have you. I'm so excited that we're finally talking, and we've picked like a really great topic, right? So I know that we'll get to this, but before we do, let me just share the topic. We're going to be talking about reframing toxicity amongst women into allyship. But before we get into that, let's know more about your story and what you had to free yourself from.
I think I'd like to start off with how I define freedom. I think we all kind of look at freedom in a different way, as much as we kind of identify with certain language, words, and metaphors, assuming that we all think of the same meaning. But I'd like to sort of say, for me, it's more about having that sort of peace of mind and able to do what I want, say, and be according to my own values and beliefs. And it does come from meaning and purpose. So I have to be really aligned and congruent with myself and know myself really well in order to be free. That's how I feel personally. And I also guide others if they have that same sort of outcome to, understand their own identity and be really self-aware, because the freedom comes from, being who you really are, and then, doing it, whatever it is that you want to do, the action. And so that's how I would sort of see it. And I think it's really important that I do clarify what I mean, because I think we do generally go into subjects and topics without understanding what it means for that particular person.
100%. Definitions are so important. We want to be really clear about what we're talking about, what conversation we're getting into. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to sort of like feel that we're free to be okay no matter what the situation is. Personally, my situation in the last 5 years, as you mentioned, I'm a mom, but I'm actually a single mom. So I was divorced. And a lot of the times people are defined by their circumstances, especially out there around the stigmas against divorce. That is not just in the Muslim community, it is quite wide, varied. The fact that people have to even write down in a status if they're going for a job that if they're married, single, or divorced. And I want to just always say, if I'm married, I'm married. And if I'm single, I'm single, regardless of what the situation may be, because we all enter or end relationships for different circumstances. But I think when it comes to divorce, it is such a negative connotation, and I want to get away from that, and I want to help others understand that it's a situation that happens, but it really doesn't define you. And I find, especially with women, that they are either looked upon as something like contagious or doomed if they are divorced, or they're, pushed to one side by themselves or society as a whole. And you just need to understand that things happen, especially when it's out of your control, but you can still create and be innovative and build and have a different chapter in your life. So for me, there was a lot of freedom that I had to sort of create with regards to trying to face what were the stigmas and the taboos attached to that circumstance that, was out of my control. And then all the statistics and so-called psychologist studies that come with it, which I also feel that it is very limiting in explaining what it means to be divorced holistically. So a lot of the times I feel that people's opinions and criticisms generally also, and having concerns of other people's thoughts, we need to also be free of that, divorced or not. I think a lot of us are running around as to how we should be and how we should look, whether it's from society, community, family, or just, whether it's in the workplace, whatever it may be. And there are certain times it's okay, but then to what extent is that really you? And I think that's really important. And I'm really free because I feel that I am vocal about very, very uncomfortable discussions and topics. If you research what I've spoken about as single Muslim women on a platform on British Muslim TV and several other channels here in London. So I do feel that I am definitely somebody who has crossed the boundaries and moved to different platforms by understanding that freedom is something about really truly being yourself. And you can actually change over time and evolve. It's not a problem, as long as you are real. And I just want to align with my own values and beliefs. And I think it's really important that when we talk about freedom, it's with morals and ethics. It's also with regards to your own definition, and make it clear to people what that is. So yeah, I mean, I've come across a lot of things that has allowed me to even push further because of people's judgment and criticism. So the freedom of not being too concerned of what other people's chatter is another big thing. Especially when you're on a platform and you're speaking and you have so much content and substance, but then you're just looked upon for either wearing too much makeup or your clothes are too tight, and which could be fine. I'm not saying, I am perfect and I'm on my own journey and I have my shortcomings, but there's so much more. But that's the only thing, especially as women, that we looked upon, whether we are covered or not, is just the appearance. And then we're judged negatively by certain individuals. And that's fine if you want to address me personally or give a nice, kind word of, advice or concern. But when it's just like, speaking behind the screen because you're scared to confront me, and I allow you the space to do that privately or on a platform, or, just speak on those terms, which I find that even professional women out there, where we should be supporting each other, and we have an issue, then when you talked about allyship, I really thought that was an amazing topic to bring about, because as much as we also, some of us come from faith, and even if it's no faith, we need to support each other and build each other up. And if you see something wrong, let's deal with it in the correct manner. And that, again, brings about a particular individual who's able to do that. So don't think that just because you're professional and you come from a specific, way of being, that people see you just for wearing a particular attire on the surface, that makes you, that so-called individual of society that's moral and right. No, it's your actions. It really is your actions. And I think it's really important that we discuss this even further.
100%. What a powerful viewpoint of freedom. And I really want to bring to the forefront what I'm hearing underneath it all. A lot of times when people talk about freedom, they're thinking, woohoo, I can just do anything, right?
No.
But in fact, what I've found is that kind of undefined, unstructured freedom is a prison, right? Because then you become a slave to your desires. and you do things that even you don't even understand what's happening. And so what I'm hearing you say is we really need to be clear on what it is that makes us free, and how we want to define that, and what standards we want to set ourselves to, so that we can make sure that others are honoring our freedom, right?
Absolutely. No, I think you've sort of like highlighted that and taken away much better than even what I said.
Yeah, because that's the only way we can really be allies, because when we're not really clear on what our values are, right, people like to steamroll us. Women in general get steamrolled, right? But then when we do it to each other, to your point about,
Yes.
yeah, that's just, and that's the thing, because when we show up as women, we're just like, oh, my sister, like you just have some
Yeah.
assumptions, but you got to be really clear. My sister means that we're going to speak respectfully with each other. We're going to acknowledge
Yes.
that this is Fahima's way of dressing, and it's stunning and gorgeous and amazing. While I love to wear my niqab and my, abaya, that's me, that's her form of freedom. This is my form of freedom. And, she speaks openly about stuff I only talk to my family about, and that those are her values, right? And so
Yeah.
this is the kind of clarity that we have to have going into relationships with other women, so that we'll know how we can use our privilege to support them.
Absolutely. And it's really important that you even said that we all have our own ways and our own values. And we do know, especially from coming from some, certain faith and certain ways of being, yes, there are clear guidelines. And yes, we all should follow that. But it's not just on the dress side of things, it's also with your behavior and treatment of others. And so they might be coming at me with one thing, but the way they come in at me is actually, not necessarily the way that it should be in the beginning anyway, when you come from faith. So that's why I get a bit confused. Because, we do say we all sin, but we sin differently. Maybe I'm open about that from what you see on the surface. But, at the end of the day, we have to be realistic. And I'm not here to be on a platform claiming to be this role model or someone who's even an influencer. I'm far from that. But what I have learned and what I'm trained to do, I do feel I want to share that. And I am blessed to be on certain sort of platforms to speak about it. So that's what I do, and I speak about it. And with that, I'm sure looking back even 5 years from now, I will think, oh my gosh, why did I even dress like that and be like that? And we all do that. And I would love to see myself change to be more, in accordance to what the books do say and the scriptures say. But I'm here now and I'm owning it and I'm fine with it. And I only hope to improve. But the way in which also people can help and support each other to improve in life is to really give support and not to criticize and be judgmental, and especially in a nasty and harsh way. And a lot of the times it's not just said to your face or privately, it is on a platform which is like in group messages, which are planting the seeds in other people's minds, which they maybe not even thought about, which is dangerous. And it's talking to other people and women about you, and they can mention your name saying they don't know you, yet they think they know what you're going to say and do and respond. I've had it all. And to be honest, yeah, I'm making it quite personal. I don't normally, but I've heard many other women. I'm quite strong and I can handle this to a certain extent, but even when it hit me at the beginning, I felt like, I was having to defend myself. And I'm like, no, I don't need to defend myself here. But I just think there's a real issue. So let's talk about this. And I did raise it even as a topic. But there are women that has been faced with this and they don't realize the detriment that it actually has on your mental well-being. And these are some people that are talking that actually help with mental sort of like, illnesses, and claim to be sort of, Muslim counselors, whatever it may be. And they help women. Yet when there's a problem, they cannot face you. And I'm really surprised at that, because at the end of the day, we are supposed to be portraying, not just in talks, what is right and wrong, but in our own personal actions. And that's really surprising to me. When I speak, I really try to practice what I preach first. I'm not just here to preach, because anyone that knows me personally, they will know that I am an open book in that way. So whatever I'm saying to you, I have actually done it myself, and I continuously do it. And if I'm doing it wrong, I will change, and I'm happy to change for many reasons. But it's just surprising that today, I'm not talking about just people that have no knowledge. I'm talking about people that actually have the knowledge that carry on like this. So we need to, make this aware. We need to make this really open wide, that what you do is detrimental to another person, and to cause that conflict is not actually to anyone's benefit. So we need to ally, like you said. We need to support. And when you call each other a sister, don't just say it because it's something that you just use. Do it and say it because you mean it, and actually show it in your actions. And I think that's really important that you highlighted that too, because I've said that many times about us using words like, oh, you're like my brother, you're like my sister. Well, then, let's be real brothers and sisters to each other, whether it's in humanity or in faith, whichever way it is. But I'm seeing that less and less. And, now it's becoming problematic, where people are turning away from their faith. People are turning away from circles. People are turning away from communities because they are being attacked. And I do speak for those small voices. I do speak for those voices that are out of fear, and they don't even want to have the attention on them because they're scared it's going to only come back to them even worse. But I'm like, that's fine. I'm the kind of person who is kind of not just, having freedom in myself, in my own meaning. I'm kind of fearless too. So that is my personality, and I'm really fiery. But at the same time, I am not afraid of any confrontation. So we need to stand up for people that think they can get away like this, because they're not. And especially if they come across me, it's not going to happen.
And that's powerful, so, as you can see, by my darling friend, Fahima, I love you so much. Like,
Love you
she
too.
has come, out of her, you saw, right? Like, it was really visceral for her, because it happens to all of us, but it's worse when it happens on social media. It's worse when it happens on your own platform. But she is dug into those emotions for herself, although it was, hard for her to show up powerfully for others, and to demonstrate like how you get through that and how to behave when something like that happens. And I really like that you brought up the mental health part of that, which we're going to dive into deeper
Yes,
in the next section. So thank you so much for
absolutely.
that. Thank you. We'll be right back. Replenish me. When I say that, what comes up for you? And when's the last time that you've done that? And where do you feel that in your body? Well, this is my invitation to you to explore the 4 steps of my Replenish Me program, where women learn how to release, restructure, refresh, and rebirth, showing up in the world being true to yourself, only choosing words that honor your values, and only allowing behaviors and people in your life who do the same. Connect with me by reaching out at bit.ly/replenish with love, and explore Replenish Me. And now for tonight's show. All right, so we're back, and we're going to really get into it. So I highly recommend you pull out your notebooks and your pens and really take some good notes, because we're going to dive into the meaning of how words land when we're dealing with people and relationship. And I'm so happy that you're an NLP practitioner, so you can give us some finer points of the layers beneath the conflicts. So let's talk more about that.
NLP huge, by the way, and it's actually can show how we can manipulate certain circumstances, because it can be used in a very dangerous form as well if you want to be that way. So in order to understand, NLP, if people don't understand what that means, it means neuro-linguistic programming. So understanding the way in which a human mind thinks. And linguistics is knowing the language that we use. And programming is the way in which a human is programmed and the habits that we have. As we know that we have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, and we operating predominantly on the subconscious mind, which is 95% of the time. So yeah, this is where all the technicalities come in. But a lot of us do know this. You can Google this and you can find out. But then, we have the information, but we're not actually using that to our own benefit. A lot of times people come to me and say, I know what's mindfulness, I know what's this, and I know what's that. I was like, so how are you using it then? Okay, give me an example of how it is in your daily practice. Okay, because at the end of the day, we are all an open encyclopedia nowadays with Google. We can get information, but it's having to use that information. And that's why when I say I practice what I preach, I have to meditate. I have to do certain things in my day that's going to keep me productive. So that if I am here with a client giving them the same sort of guidance, I know it works because I use it on myself. So that's one example. In NLP as well, we talk a lot about the assumptions that we make in life. And we all have these kind of belief systems, and more importantly, these limiting belief systems. And we create meaning behind certain things. And each one will speak in metaphors, but the meanings are different. And secondly, life happens to us. We know we are always faced with something, and especially now the world with this pandemic. But so many people are creating different meanings from it and taken away from it. So NLP can help you overcome challenges and overcome tragedy by you understanding that you have some sort of control or manage your emotions by having a way of creating and developing new meaning behind certain situations and circumstances. Like if, for example, if we look at failure, a lot of us have had things that maybe we have failed and we have regret from it, or we have a lot of fear in the future or anxiousness about failing. But then when I said, what is your thoughts about failure? What if you actually looked at failure as feedback? It creates a whole new level of that person going into even an exam as a student, knowing that if the results wasn't there, it is not the end of the world. And a lot of us, whether we come out of relationships that have been negative, it's a failure. If we've not had a job, we've not had the results in exams, if we've applied for something, it hasn't worked out, all this failure knocks us back and back and back, and it keeps us stuck. And then we also have the fear of doing it again and having the same result, and then again it's just a cycle. So when you understand how the human mind works and how our behaviors and especially our meaning can make a huge difference to the way in which we make choices every day, that is something I find really powerful. Like two people together in the same situation with an economic crisis, one can see, that's it, I'm doomed, I don't know what to do. The other person be like, well, I just need to be a bit more smarter with my finances. So it's just those kind of simple meanings. I'm just giving you very basic examples for you to understand that everyday situations that we're faced with, even extreme circumstances, can be changed so that we have no excuses. And that could really help with your mental state. And that's what I find powerful in individuals nowadays, that when I do help them, and I've been able to help people even overcome suicidal thoughts and attempt, and whether it's from broken relationships or not handling life and not thinking that they have any self-worth and self-love, and all of these things make a huge difference to a person. But when I give them that guidance, when I give them that different type of presupposition and assumption about their lives and about them and guide them through it, really that is the transformation. So it's not having the knowledge, but knowing how to use that knowledge to transform another person's life. And that's what my job is. And it's so fulfilling every single day. It's not just about relationships. I help with careers. I help with, just general mental well-being, overcoming fear, being confident, being positive, and also allowing those negative emotions to sit with yourself and be okay with it, because we don't have those control of having the negative, but it's knowing how to manage it. And there's so many different steps that I help guide my clients, that they have to be in a particular way and have certain tools and strategies to help them, get through the day step by step. And it's not easy. Sometimes I'm on call for them because, they're in tears and they're crying. They're very, very volatile. And, that's the kind of support I give people, really.
So let's talk about how to reframe. You gave some really good examples of situations that people are going through right now, right? There's a lot of inner turmoil.
Yeah.
Relationships are breaking, whether they're friendships, marriages, or whatever.
Yeah.
How do you help someone to reframe in that situation?
Well, it's many techniques and strategies, and it really depends on the actual scenario. And you have to obviously question, because when they come to you saying, for example, I am lost. Firstly, you have to be logical. Say, where are you standing right now? You're definitely not lost. So when we speak like that, and we also illustrate to be present and to be mindful, and having obviously doing regular meditation gets you to that place, can also help. But reframing is a habit, because again, we sometimes fall into a trap of being depressed and having a payoff of maybe getting someone's attention, or just used to that emotion, even if you being by yourself. And then it's like you take on that victim mode, and that's all you actually remember and know how to be.
I want
And
to
then you
pause
have
you
other people.
right there. Let's talk about that. So a lot of people get stuck in the payoff and wanting to be in that victim mode.
Yes.
How do we, what are some ways that someone listening right now can become the owner? Just like, let's do one thing, because I know this is like huge and it's a big work, but what's like one thing that someone could do?
It is something which they have to really dig deep, because a lot of us don't want to be stuck. Okay. So it's like, when they come for assistance, you have to allow them the space to say that you actually want this. And I know you can do this. And I know that you've been there before where it's been positive. You just don't remember it. So you have to take them through a journey. And it isn't just something that you can just turn on and off. Sometimes, yes, you can have individuals that can just have a light bulb moment and switch it on when they come to a realization. But you see, a lot of us come to some sort of like therapy or coaching thinking that they can get the answers given to them, like you've asked me now. But actually, the real potential is within you, and me having to take it out of you through various ways. And that's more powerful. It's like when we're growing up, when we're young, we constantly being told what to do. And as children, we don't want that. But then when we become adults, we want someone to give us the answers. And I don't get that. And even when I say that to adults, I'm like, you want me to give you something where your entire life you've been wanting this freedom of choice. Okay. And then you make these choices and then you forget there's consequences. Okay. But then now we got to, grow up and let's deal with it. Let's own it. Let's take accountability as well. Okay. Let's be responsible. I am quite a tough coach too. And I do warn people, this is kind of boot camp coming to me, but I am preparing them before I get to that stage. So yeah, I am quite like hardcore with, saying things as it really is, to be non-directive, non-judgmental, so that they can take that from me. Say like, look, this is how I'm seeing it. I'm coming here with fresh eyes and you're saying something to me and I'm just reflecting back. Yes. And sometimes when you reflect back what that client has told you, that alone is powerful. Like, did I really say it like that? Did I really mean it like that? Then we go into it. Because sometimes they just say things. And then when you're talking to friends and family, they either enable you or they have a go at you. There's one extreme to the other. It's not really helping. But when you're trained to understand, what is this person doing? Like, you've come to me, you're obviously searching for something, you do want something, so let's find it together. So it's not just like automatic switch as in, oh, what is the one thing? It is not a one thing, because it is layers that we've created over years. Okay, like an onion peel. And it takes time to undo ourselves to get to the bottom of it. And I think if we realize that, then yeah, we have to do some work. And it is a journey that I take you on. And, that's what the power becomes in that individual, realizing that their potential is already within them. And so many times that I've said things to my clients and they're like, I've done that before. Yeah, you're right. And I'm just here to remind you. I'm here to, encourage you, to support you, to open up a space to see something which you've never ever seen before. Maybe let's brainstorm. So that's when, some of my sort of like, my own kind of things are brought into the picture, but only with their permission. But I really do allow the space, because we don't allow the space. Even in coaching, we are trained to pause. When you ask a question to the client, you got to come to that pause where it can become uncomfortable. And a lot of us find it really difficult. But that pause is when they're not trained like you. So they want to, fill in the space, but that's what you allow them to. Whereas most people, they want to fill that space of conversation. So these things are so important. That's why you need to be trained. You need to understand the techniques, so that these are the kind of things that will allow an individual to really, divulge in themselves and figure it out themselves. And when they feel powerful themselves, they can use that for themselves than just getting a formula and saying, use it. Okay, so you need to understand that at the end of the day, humans as well, they want things quick and easy, and they can get lazy about it as well. And then because of their own ideas, and they think, yeah, I just want the answer. Just give me, what is it that I need to do? Tell me your advice. And, there always people are saying, why don't you put it out there, what you need to do in certain situations? I said, there's a time that I will, transform certain things that I would say, yes, but I always say I'm generalizing, because just like a diet, okay, not everyone is going to use that diet and have it work. You got to know your own body and the type, and go to your nutritionist or your GP doctor and know what is for you. It's the same thing with therapy. If I'm going to say something to somebody, it's going to be for your circumstance, according to your values and beliefs, not mine. Okay, not what I see, what I think is right or wrong. It's going to be that. And if I feel that it's in a way that you're holding yourself in a box or a label or a bubble, then I'll help you break out of it. So you can, be further in your thoughts. But that's how it works. And a lot of people don't understand that. And I think it's really important that we're having this discussion, so that when people go to seek some sort of like guidance, don't look at it as someone giving you the answers. If that person's giving you the answers, then that person's not trained well enough. They have to get it out of you, and they can assist you to do it. And that's real work. And you having to dig deep inside, because a lot of the times, even when we're teaching our children to be in a particular way, if we're just going to give it to them when they go out in the big wide world, or if your back is turned, they're not going to do it. And that's what we're all doing, even now as adults. And it's really, really the wrong way to do that. I hope that's answered what you wanted, and it made it clear enough, because it's not that simple, because people want me to just give them an answer, give them a formula. No.
Yeah.
Like, if that was the case, then life would be very different.
Right.
And we're not robots.
We'd all be born and given manuals. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is the life of Fahima. This is the life of Cordelia. But it's not
Exactly.
like that. So for those of you who are listening and watching, you may have to put this on pause and go back about 10 minutes and listen again. But I'm going to try and summarize. What she said was, you don't really hear yourself when you talk. You don't really see yourself as you walk on this earth. And you can't get the answers from someone else. The benefit of coming to someone like Fahima or myself is a coach helps you to remember who you are and reflect what you look like and what you sound like, so that you can be a student of yourself and do that work. Am I right?
100%. I love your summary. I should have just said this to you before, and you could have just done it like this so much quicker, because I can be quite long.
No, it's always better to hear the intricacies of our mental gymnastics, right?
Yes,
So because
100%.
that's what's happening in our heads. That's what's happening as we move through our day. Nobody walks around with the end of the story, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
No.
So.
But you know what? Even saying that, I mean, we always think about the end. Don't look at the end. For me, the end is when it's like flat dead. Okay, we're gonna constantly go. Okay, at the end of the day, I'm never gonna end until my breath stops, and that's what we've got to keep looking at. If it's one goal that we come to, and if there's one outcome that we've, sort of accomplished, it is not the end. Just like with a relationship, just like with life, just like with a failure, then just step to the next chapter, to the next page. And I think if we had those kind of assumptions in life, and our limiting beliefs will be less, and we'll be able to move on a lot quicker, and approach things a lot more healthier, and it will overall benefit our state of being mentally and create better choices for us without feeling stuck. I guess it's all these assumptions that we have that keeps us stuck. I think that's what it's really about.
Right. And on that point, let's talk back about the word divorce, right? So, and the connotation surrounding women, whether you're of faith or not. So being divorced is like having a PhD in a long-term relationship. That's my viewpoint. Okay. Because if it worked, right, then you wouldn't have the opportunity to begin again. So this would be the reframe I'd like to offer for the word divorce. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. But again, it's not even about divorce. I just think whatever situation you're in, if you do not do the work on yourself, then that divorce can continue. That grief will continue over years without being dealt with. I think it's really important that we don't blame situations for what it is. For example, divorce may deter children from being in a particular way. No, your parenting deters that.
Yeah.
Your relationship with your child, deters that. Things like that. I think we do need to definitely reframe it, because I've definitely crossed those boundaries of every single negative statistic that's out there with regards to it. My kids perform more than average, better than average in Arabic, in their English, in their, secular education, in their, whichever faith education, and even with their mindset as children, as young children, not even teenagers. 2 boys that are, completely in a state of mind that even blows me sometimes. And I hear this not from myself, but from outsiders as to who they are. And that is me working on myself and then reflecting it on them, divorced or not. And that's what we need to have. So don't blame situations, because if you want the best for your life, you'll make it the best. You work at it. You work on yourself. I think self-development is so important. Understanding the psychology of human beings and nature, the way we think and how we are. Don't just say religion. Religion and morals and ethics come together. And if our faith, that's what it is. It's bringing it together. And I find people that don't have faith, they've got the morals and the ethics, I can get along with a lot more than the so-called religious people that may, perform certain rituals, but don't actually speak to you in a respectful way, or look at you in a particular way. That is something when I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. So we do need to really work on ourselves. Like I said, from a young age, we are creating filters amongst ourselves without us knowing, from society. And, if you understand how we are, brought up as youngsters, and all the subconscious and all the habits are basically within us from that young age. And then, if it's unresolved, then we take it to our relationship, we take it to our work, we take it to our friendships. So this is what we need to understand, how our mind and brain and body works, in order for us to unfold that, so that when we are in these situations, that's when we realize, who am I? These existential questions come in, not just when you're a teenager, but when you're faced with a challenge. But before you're faced with a challenge, let's education is about really learning about human being, the human mind, and how we are. And don't just inherit things from your family and parents or surroundings. Learn it yourself, so that when people are not around you and when you are alone, you still take that on. That's what it is about for me, to be congruent and feel free, because I know me. I know what I stand for. I know my meaning and purpose. I know my belief system. I know my foundation. I know my core. And even if I was to do wrong, I can say that's wrong because it's not in line with my values and my beliefs. I won't make an excuse like other people. Okay, so that's what it's about. And I think if you are having that true sense of identity, you can say you're from a particular country and be patriotic. You can say you're living in the West and take that on. That for me is not still true identity. For me, it is really knowing how you live daily and make choices, and where is that coming from? And what is that meaning for you? And everyone is different, and we are at different journeys and stages. And if you don't know, go read. Go search, and it will come to you.
So yeah, again, there you're making like a powerful point about just removing the labels and boxing ourselves in based on a situation. And it all comes back to, like, underneath it all, we're souls with values that we need to honor ourselves, so that we can, if we have children, reflect that onto our kids. And so when we're dealing with other people, they'll know what the boundaries are and what our values are and how to honor them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Powerful.
Absolutely.
This has been like my favorite conversation on the Free to Be show all year. I'm not like knocking any other guests, but you rock. You totally rock. Thank you so much.
Thank you. No, it's an absolute pleasure, honestly. And I think it's really a conversation which is really needed. And especially as women, like I said, I want to have more people around me that are doing great. I want them to be striving. I want them to be on top. I want them to even overtake me. Honestly, this is what we need to be. I'm not in competition with anyone but myself. Yeah. And if I see somebody struggling, or anyone comes to me for assistance, I am there to give them even my work that I've been working on for weeks and months. And I'm like, take it. You need to do it for yourself. You need to go there. You know, I've said this to you and I've shared my work before, because this is what we need to be. But you cannot be this kind of person if you don't have that heart. So, you know, you've got to come from heart. Okay, it's okay just following, you know, and ticking the boxes and, oh, I do this and I do that religiously. No. You need to come from heart. And that shows and glows in your face. It shows and glows in your work. It shows and glows in your energy around you. People sense it. Yeah. Okay, and you can sense it back. And I think we just need to be more of ourselves. And that for me is proper freedom. That for me is being authentic, and to be different. It's okay to even change some of your values as well as you go along. But when you are strong from the foundation and your roots are there, then you just, you know, just like the branch, you know, of a tree, you'll have the different seasons, you'll shed those leaves, you'll have the blooms, you'll do everything, but you'll still be standing strong. And nobody generally can really knock me down anyways.
Clearly. You've shown us that, like, consistently. Yeah, I got that part. So yes, with an abundant heart, with an abundance mindset, and just being pure love and showing up powerfully in the world, that is the way that we can reframe toxicity amongst women and move towards allyship. So thank you. We're going to be back just for one small golden moment more with Fahima. So we'll be right back. We're back, and we've talked about a lot of things. And so before I ask you to share, what you have coming up in the coming year, can you just give us the number one takeaway you would like our viewers and listeners to have from this conversation today?
Well, firstly, I feel like I'm on a flying carpet and I don't really have many plans. They do say that when you come to a different level of consciousness, that things just come to you and you don't even work for it. And I have to say, I'm quite blessed where the collaborations are now reaching me without effort. So I really can't tell you what my next plans are, because at the moment it's just crazy. It's from everywhere and it's global, and I am doing things I never even dreamt of doing, and all I can say is watch this space. I'm only getting started. But regardless, I'm not here to do me. I'm here to really assist and guide other people. And I don't just do that because I've got something to share. From everybody that I reach or anyone that reaches me, I truly feel that I'm on the same level as them and I learn from them just as much. And I do generally care for people, and I just want to see more abundance around us, because I think if we spread what we know and share what we know, and then the more we have like-minded around us, then that's what creates that power. And I think if people understood that more than having competition and trying to one up on people, then I think we would have a different world around us. But even if you can't do it on a big scale, do it amongst your family and your friends and your community and society, and it kind of spreads and it filters in that way. And teach, within your homes, because I see a lot of us, like, we're showing up in different places, at work in a particular way, with friends in a particular way, but the ones that you're really close to and love, you're not showing that. And I think it's really important that we do that with the people that are important to us and can really make a difference. Because, your legacy are, the people around you who's going to speak about you, and the people that you are influencing that is going to come across your pathway. And I want to leave here knowing that if anyone's crossed my path, hopefully not the ones that are being critical, but even them, they have a learning that they've taken, and they've actually improved and transformed their lives by actually coming to me and, being part of the journey with me, so that, I can inflict something positive to someone's life in that way, and help them have more belief in themselves, help them have more love for themselves, help them have more faith in life as well, even with whatever's happening. See a different side of things, and life is beautiful, and people are amazing and phenomenal. Even in the state, we think we can't cope, and I know it's been tragic for so many of us, but honestly, the people that have adapted and they've changed and they've taken away from it, even from tragedy, I see those kind of things, and I think we need to remember that. And I think if people have a bit more trust in the process, or the universe, or angels, or faith, or your creator, whatever you believe in, just have that more and spread that. And I think showing more care and love for each other, even if you don't agree, and if you want to make a difference, just be kind and nice. It just takes so much when you have a nice word and you say things in a sweet way. It can make a huge difference to someone's life. And if you think there's mental illness out there for other reasons, no, it's because of your own voices. Be kind to each other. And I think that will even take away that loneliness and depression, anxiety and fear, if we know we have each other to rely, depend, and support each other with.
So good. I'm not going to say anything to your energy is just, it says it all. I am so very grateful. So very grateful. I am
even more grateful. No, it's amazing. We've reached each other and connected from across the world. Imagine, I'm in the UK. It just goes to show, you see, I pray for all these good things around me, and it really has come. Yeah. I met Cordelia.
I feel the same, and I have, since I started my business, I was always praying to connect with people in the UK for time zone difference, right? Because I'm homeschooling my kids and I just wanted to have my day done. Right. And then here we are. So
your manifestation's strong.
Super strong. And so is yours. So, this, like I said, just let's lean into it and breathe into it. If you, I know you, like, I'm going to make an assumption for all our viewers and listeners, you have benefited greatly from this conversation. And so I'm going to recommend that, you know, sharing is loving. If it's touched your heart deeply, if you've learned something, if your notebook is full, then share this with someone else because they need to hear it too. So thank you so much for tuning in for the Free to Be show. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, and have a beautiful day. Good night.